Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Miscellaneous Debris podcast with, yes, that's right, of course, the one and only me, the Mad Chatter Ryan MK. There can only be one. Yes, Ryan MK. Tis true. Because there's only a few people, handful of people, with the last name Markle-Cloud. That's just how it is. Just how it is. Anyway, hope you all are well. I have no idea what the hell I was talking about there. Have the alien mask on for those watching on video, because it was just recently Halloween. I actually went as Kylo Ren, which is not the first time. Now, part of that is because I have a pretty sweet Kylo Ren costume. But really, the past couple of years, we just, last year, obviously, no trick or treating. And, we just kind of had a Halloween party at home. And then this year, like we used to always do themed family ones. I think I brought this up in one of the previous podcasts in this month of October. But we've done X-Men. We've done Batman villains. We've done some pretty cool stuff as a family, and we haven't done that the past few years. We did do Star Wars one year. So we got to get back into that tradition. But we still had fun. And it's always a bummer when Halloween is over. It just feels like a month is not long enough to have all these awesome decorations up, But we got to start taking those down. Thanksgiving will be here. And I am a fan of Thanksgiving. I mean, come on, give me a day of no work, turkey, and football. That's a good day. That's a good day. And then, of course, a month after that, Christmas. And I quite enjoy Christmas because of the kids, just I remember being a kid and how much fun it was to open presents and get some of the things you were hoping you would get, because you never got all. And if you're someone who holds on to that or gets so upset about it, shove it up your ass, because parents aren't miracle makers. And trust me, I give my parents a lot of help when I was younger, but I think there's maybe a couple of things that I wanted when I was younger that I was really bummed out I didn't get. But overall, they were really good to me. So I didn't have any complaints when I didn't get everything I wanted, especially when you believe in Santa Claus, because you did some naughty shit at some point, right? You fucked up. You were a bad kid at some point. So you're just wondering, Santa gonna hold that shit against me? So then you gotta be grateful for what you got. Well, maybe that's why I didn't get everything a lot, because I wasn't exactly perfect. I had some naughty moments. I wasn't naughty free. You know what I mean? So I could see why Santa wouldn't want to give everything I wanted. Because I not the naughty free boy this year. See what I mean? I did anyway. But the kids, they really enjoy the Christmas and all of that. So and I enjoy watching them have a good time. I enjoy their excitement when they see what they've gotten. I remember that excitement. Yeah. But it's still fun seeing them do the trick or treat, because again, we didn't go last year. So we did actually do a little bit of trick or treating this year. And it's kind of cool. About half the houses I would say we hit were just like, hey, here, take a couple pieces. And it's cool to see that. I mean, unless we were just early birds, but I don't think we were. It would seem that people were pretty good about sticking to the rules on that. Just take a piece or two, or take 3 pieces, whatever the thing was. It seemed like people were, for the most part, obeying that based on the amount of candy left in the dishes. There are plenty of trick-or-treaters out. And remember, back in Iowa, it would always be time. Like, you had to check with your city, because it would always be like 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock p.m. like in this city, and that would be on the day before Halloween, and in this city on Halloween. And Here, I'm not sure. In Colorado, we haven't been able to tell. Because I think the first year we were here, we just took the kids to this this Halloween thing at a church, and they had like games and trick or treating stuff and things there. And then COVID, and oh, maybe we did. Did we do any trick or treating? I don't know. I don't remember. So we've been here 3 years. This will be year number 4. I can't remember. Anyway, yeah. So this year we finally did some trick or treating, and it was a good time. The young one went as a pumpkin. He originally wanted to go as a cupcake. I think I talked about this as well. But he went as a pumpkin. He looked fucking adorable. He looked great. And then the 7-year old went as Nightmare Foxy from Five Nights at Freddy's, which is a game. It's kind of a scary game. Some people would wonder, oh, you let your kids do that? Well, if he's mature enough to handle it, we kind of talked about this on previous pods, just different, parenting styles. And even my brother, he's got kids. He's not quite as lenient with his kids as I am with mine. But I guess, my dad was pretty lenient with me. And I would say, I turned out okay. But clearly, I would say I have in the long run, in the end. But there's quite a few bumps along the way. But I would not point to my dad allowing me to do certain things, because really he allowed me to like watch movies, play video games, do certain things like that um I would have been trying to do anyway. And I've talked about that plenty, and how my dad's kind of way of doing things was a big influence on how I do things. But I heard a really good phrase recently, and it was on one of my sports podcasts that I listen to while I'm, trimming weed all day long. And this one was a football podcast, Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk. And he had said, I like when people are real, because, and, he was discussing a football player named Marshawn Lynch. I mentioned him when he says, take care of your mentals. That's fucking right. Take care of your mentals. Good shit, Marshawn Lynch. He's beast mode. Beast mode. If you ever heard that, beast mode. That's Marshawn Lynch. And he says, beast mode says, take care of your mentals. So fucking listen to beast mode and take care of your mentals. Anyway, he was on the Eli and Peyton Manning broadcast for Monday Night Football, and he did some cursing. And Mike Florio was saying, I like it because, that's real. That's life. Life is rated R. And he's right. And that's so perfect. Life is fucking rated R. It is. You try and make this shit not rated R. That's not how people talk. That's not how people act. It's that it is how life is. It's rated R. It's a perfect way to put it. I think that's why I connect with something like a Game of Thrones, that show, because you see plenty of good guys losing, because that shit happens in the real world a lot. Whether it's people in power, which we'll get into later, people with money, mistake, whatever it is. Good guys lose all the time in real life. It's real life is rated R. That's right. That is fucking right. And I think that's basing, my parenting is kind of based on that kind of thinking, that shit's, life is what it is. There's shit out there like, if I don't allow him to play something like a Five Nights at Freddy's, he's going to try and sneak it. So I'd rather him play it, talk to him about it, make him understand, A, it's just a game. B, this kind of shit ain't real, things like that. And to me, I guess that's the way to approach it. That's how I'm doing it. But I think kid's got to have at least some level of maturity to him, and he does. So But it brought a Game of Thrones because I've been loving this shit. I mean, I've always loved it. Obviously, there was some disappointing parts to the final season. People bitch about the final couple of seasons, but I'm not as picky as we've talked about before. But I've been doing the audiobooks at work, and I love them. They're just such a joy, and it is a bit weird because I'm hearing the person who's reading the book doing the different voices or the different characters in different voices, and of course I'm used to the show characters and the show voices, so it's a little bit weird in that respect, but not bad at all either. But it does feel like the more I'm getting into Game of Thrones, a big chunk of it, is politics, really, the play for the throne. When you play the Game of Thrones, you either win or you die. Yes. And it feels similar to life in 2021, like, so for those not familiar, Game of Thrones, basis of the story starts out with a king, the story of a realm, and the king of the realm took over the previous king who had gone mad, basically. And he was the king, but everybody knew he needed to go down, right? And this new guy's on the throne, and he's not great either. I mean, he's not crazy and doing, completely awful shit, but he's not real great either. And so it kind of begins from there. And it kind of feels like that's where we're at. Trump is the Mad King. There's Targaryen, the the Mad King from Game of Thrones. That's what he is. And it's like, no, we got to get rid of this fucker. But now in his place is Joe Biden, who's essentially King Robert, who is just not much of a king. I mean, an upgrade to be sure, but by how much? Obviously, shit's not in dire straits anymore, but it's not prospering as it should be. And then on top of that, it feels like there's tension and all sorts of shit all over the place. War is upon the realm, and winter is coming. Right? That's exactly what it's so like it. War is upon the realm, and winter's coming. It's fucking cold outside. That's why we weren't trick or treating that long last night, because it was fucking cold as a motherfucker. Yeah, just because I align more with Democrats and their views and their morals, particularly far rights and the Trumpers. Just because I align more with them doesn't mean I'm not going to spit fire their way. I mean, I in the beginning was like, fucking seriously, Joe Biden? Okay. I mean, anybody better than, again, King Robert, he was an upgrade. Was he great? No. No. Upgrade? Yes. Same situation. War is upon the realm now, and winter is coming. And so, yeah. And no need for like any kind of sleepy Joe Biden. We had climate crisis going on, and he's at the summit dozing off. But I also like, everybody can make the easy joke, but I'm not trying to defend him in any way because he's not been great. But I'll tell you this much. That motherfucker had to have walked into such a fucking headache. I could understand why even just this far in, he's already like, God, I'm so fucking exhausted. He's old. That's part of it for sure, to be sure. Which is why I was like, really, Joe Biden, we're going another old white guy. And perhaps the oldest white guy. This is what we're doing. No, it's not been all bad. But yeah, I mean, I guess I can understand why he's kind of sleepy. Man, that seems like a shit job in general. But to be walking into it after Trump, holy motherfuck. So I had to kind of feel for it. No wonder King Robert in Game of Thrones, like he walked into some mad shit. He was just like, yep, I think I'm just going to drink and whore my way to an early grave. And that's basically what he said. King Robert in Game of Thrones, not Joe Biden. As far as I know. As far as I know. I could be wrong. Maybe Joe Biden did say that too. I don't know. Anyway, that's what I got for you. That's what not for the whole episode. Don't worry. I just meant opening, I'll shut up. We'll get into sports, not sports, news slash sports, not really sports. But anyway, we'll get into that. Oh, goodness. Yeah, take a break. Now, a word from our sponsors, but not really because we have no sponsors. So, really, just a quick break and then back for news. Oh my goodness. Sorry. That was a bigger puff than I thought it was going to be. We're back. We're back. Technically, the news and sports section, I'm going to come up with a better fucking name for it, though. You know what? I tell you that right now. But this week, past couple of weeks since I get started this, new format with the pod, I've been rolling like different topics, shorter topics. This week, I'm doing some a little different. Not a handful of smaller topics, but rather a theme, tying in news, sports, life. And it's about the issue of those in power. Real life is rated R, people. Don't forget that. And this is another aspect of it. This is, some of the dirty stuff about the world and what being in power, money, privilege, what that shit can really buy you in life, can get you. And really, I started thinking about it because of this investigation that the NFL supposedly did. Well, I think there was an independent arbitrator, but there was an investigation done into the Washington football team, formerly known as the Washington Redskins, or as I often referred to them as the Washington Foreskins. But now the Washington football team. So there was an investigation into them, workplace misconduct. Basically, a bunch of shady shit happening. Pictures of cheerleaders topless going around, sexual misconduct allegations, all sorts of crazy shit. So this person comes in, does this report on the investigation, but the NFL, they don't want a written report. It's just a verbal report. And then they provide like a few paragraph summary of her report, a written summary of her report. All very weird, right? So then, a couple weeks back, the whole thing comes out with John Gruden, and he's out of a job. Rightfully so, for being a cunt. But why is he the only one getting shamed, getting in trouble? And the NFL is very staunch on the idea that it's not going to release any more emails, any more information. It's kind of hey, we fined Washington for their their issues, their mistakes, and we've moved on. The John Gruden thing was unfortunate, but there's some people who have those emails who can just leak some shit at any time. Now, you would think the NFL would be concerned about that. The owners would be concerned about that because really, Roger Goodell, the commissioner, works for the owners of these football teams, right? He's their boss. And you'd think they'd be a little concerned, but maybe not. Maybe it was, hey, let's screw over John Gruden. He's an asshat anyway. He'll be easy pickings. And yeah, move along. It's not how it went. And people are wondering what the hell else is going on. Roger Goodell has recently done a press conference. He said things like, we want to protect the privacy, the anonymity of those involved. But so many people involved have come out and said, no, release the info. We don't care. And it's false anyway, because they could redact names. There's all sorts of ways to go about releasing this information. The thing is they just don't want it released. They don't want people knowing, because it will for sure put an owner or two or three or four, who knows, in very deep water, hot water, I think is the right. And so they're doing what they can to keep, that shit from coming to light. And they can do a lot. They have a lot of power. Now, Congress is getting involved in all of this, but the NFL is hiding something. Its explanations for not releasing information are not very good. It's something worth looking into, and some members of Congress are. So we'll see how far it goes. But it's just, how far can those in power go? I mean, we see this all over. I mean, it's the same for the climate crisis. All you got to do is think of the financial implications of not supporting steps for, the good of climate change, to help reduce climate change. I mean, you just look around the world. Power. China. They regulate the internet. They have Uyghur internment camps set up. They just are trying to run genocide on a group of peoples. And it's disgusting. And their people are so warped. Like, they find the people of Hong Kong to be traitors. Like, you can't support them. There was that whole thing with the NBA. Daryl Morey of the NBA coming out, we support Hong Kong. And then this is where I lost my respect for LeBron James, because he was like, hey, why don't you shut up? Like, China gives us a lot of money. Why don't you shut your mouth? And I'm like, well, fuck you, LeBron. Like, come on, man. You want equality for Black people. Same goes for fucking, like, do you know? Educate yourself, man. Do you know what's going on in Hong Kong? I didn't like that shit at all. If you're going to be about something, be about it. Don't be about it in certain situations. That's half-assing. I don't like half-assing, to be honest. I digress. And if you're unsure what Uyghurs are, here, I got a picture of a little something to give a little bit of an explanation. So the Uyghurs, there are about 12 million Uyghurs, mostly Muslim, living in Xinjiang, which is officially known as the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region. Uyghurs speak their own language, which is similar to Turkish, and see themselves as culturally and ethnically close to Central Asian nations. They make up less than half of the Xinjiang population. Recent decades have seen a mass migration of Han Chinese, which is China's ethnic majority, into Xinjiang, allegedly orchestrated by the state to dilute the minority population there. China has also been accused of targeting Muslim religious figures and banning religious practices in the region, as well as destroying mosques and tombs. Uyghur activists say they fear that the group's culture is under threat of erasure. Yeah, I would say so. That's pretty scary, you know. And is what people in power are doing. You've seen protests around the world, how some protesters are being treated by governments. You saw it here in this country, what those in power are doing. Back to around the world. I mentioned China, Russia is another one. Putin, I mean, just what he's done. I mean, just look at what he's done. And then you can clearly understand why Putin would admire someone so, right? Because he's already changed the laws, their constitution, so that he basically, after he becomes not president, he still will be the most powerful person in Russia. It's crazy what he's done. And that's the last I checked on it. Who knows what he's done since? I don't even want to look. It's probably still the same. But he set himself up so that like he's empowered till what he dies. And he's got basically everything in control. You can't say anything bad about him. You'll end up missing. I mean, he's basically got his own, like, you know, like the Proud Boys here. They love them some Trump. Yeah, he's got his own kind of group like that. Can't remember what the fuck they're called, and I really don't care. Fuck them and fuck him. And yeah, but they'll go out and basically do his bidding. His own secret police. And then Alexei Navalny, his lockup for what? Like, this is exactly what, like, and you look at Trump, what he was trying to do with the whole fake news movement. If you say anything bad about me, if you disagree with me, you're fake news, you know. That's how it starts out. Before it's just like, you don't say shit about me unless I say it's okay to say, you know, like, if that made sense. Which brings me to Here at Home. That was just Here at Home not too long ago. And those in power have done such a great job of dividing. I mean, we've got costly education, unlike a lot of other westernized nations who have free college education. No, we have to pay for ours, right? And it doesn't seem quite right. And there's a reason a good chunk of Americans don't bother with college. I supposedly have done it the right way. My degree is taking me nowhere. I am trimming marijuana right now for like, aside from doing these podcasts, which bring me nothing. I really should set up the goddamn Patreon. Anyway, I digress. It's yeah, that's a huge problem. So then there's a good portion of the population that's not educated. And that's not to say even that they're not smart, but there's a big difference. Being uneducated, you miss a lot. Like, and I've spoke about this before. If anything, at the very least, college will give you the tools to be able to research properly, to vet information sources properly, which is becoming more and more important in this day and age, if you ask me. So, and that's part of the problem. I mean, whether it's class warfare, the racial tensions, whatever it is, critical race theory, that's the big thing. That's one of the like that going on. Yeah, lots of white parents want that shit banned in their schools. Why? Why? They don't want to act like there's race, and it goes. They don't want to act like there's race. That's what it is. Like Trump and the whole idea, like we want to get rid of that. Basically, rewrite history. Like no, America wasn't all that bad, or that wasn't all that bad, or they're trying to normal. No, that's actually okay. A lot of bad shit We better hope Trump goes to prison. I know I've said it before. We better hope. Because if he finds a way back into the White House, this country is in some major shit. Power. And it's crazy because here more than anywhere else, it seems like those in power have done a great job of making us forget who's truly in power, which is the people. The people have forgotten that the people are truly in power. It's crazy. All right, let's wrap this pod up. Sorry, I didn't mean to end the last segment all gloomy. I did sound gloomy. It is frustrating though, right? It is. Particularly during this time when you've got all these people that don't believe in vaccines. And, I've talked about the anti-science movement. I mean, it's not just anti-vax, it's the fucking flat earthers and climate change deniers and the whole lot of them. Fucking blah. Anyway, for this episode, for story time, I have for you a wonderful tale. No, it's all right. It's a tale of my youth, and this one just popped in my head because it was just a pretty wild little vacation, but it was also just one particular day that was like, I don't know, it was just a blast. So I can't exactly remember my age. I'm thinking around 12, 13, maybe 12 to 15, I'd say. But I believe more towards that 12 range. But fam, my mother, myself, my brothers, my two brothers, we took a trip to Salida, along with my uncles, two uncles, and one of the uncles, his two daughters, our cousins. And we all meet up in Salida, Colorado for whitewater rafting. I know, the crazy shit white people do. Um, I don't get down for a lot of crazy shit white people do. But whitewater rafting is something I enjoy. That and snowboarding are probably my two big white people things that I like to do. So we're in Salida to whitewater raft, and it's supposed to be a crazy year. The water's really high, very bumpy rapids, etc. And we go ahead and we do this thing. We got a big giant raft. We've got an awesome bear of a raft guide, big beard. He's just awesome. And according to him, we're doing pretty good. We're doing pretty good. We're working as a team. We're working well. We're all in there rowing together. It's great. We're hitting the rapids. We're having a lot of fun. Now it comes to a point where it's like, okay, now we can get out here, which is what most people do. And he was like, or we could take a chance going through Suckhole, which is one of the most insane rapids, apparently. They even have t-shirts that said, I survived Suckhole. But tour guide is like, hey, I think you guys are awesome. So I think you guys can do it if you want to go through, if you want to try it. But if not, we can get out up ahead. And everybody's like, no, yeah, let's go through. Let's go do it. And we previously had already hit some pretty rough rapids. At one point, my cousin Rainey, she fell out of the raft. And my mom, of all people, yanked her in because she did exactly what they told them. You reach out, you grab them by their life vest, and just fall back to pull them in. And she did that. She rescued my cousin Rainey. And then we're going through Suckhole, and my brother Dane falls out. And my mom saves the day again, gets him back in the raft. And we make it through Suckhole. It's a blast of a time. We find out later that night a group did go through Suckhole, had not so much luck, and they actually lost somebody. That's fucking insane. The same rapid we went through, same day, somebody died. Insane. Count our lucky stars, right? But that is not the end of the story, because then we go back and we're at this awesome hotel. There's this cool, like, I don't even know how to describe it, like this central area in like in the grounds of the it's just trees, flowers. It's nice. Um, like a commons area, outside commons area. There we go. And so I'm on a life high because of this whitewater rafting stuff. And then I remember running into some girl. And I remember we sat there and we talked. And, of course, I'm a teenage boy. I got thoughts going through my head, but we just talked for a little bit. She went her way, I went my way. I run into my cousin Rainey. And I'm like, hey, you should do me a favor. She says she's going to the store, I believe is how it started. I would really like to drink some beers here at the hotel. Would you please give me some beers? She's like, ride with me and let's go get you some beers. Okay. Trying to find a place to get some beers. She ends up spotting a bar. Says, I'm going to go in, try and find out what I can. Good place to pick up some liquor, etc. She goes in this bar. She's in there for probably an hour. I'm just chilling in the car, trying to keep my patience because I want some booze. And I need my cousin to get it for me. She comes out, apologizes. I can't remember what the excuse was, but we weren't going to get booze. And so I just wasted all this time, sat in the car for nothing, was not very happy with my cousin. And to be honest, it didn't seem like she felt that bad. I even somewhat remember like her being like, you can't drive this back, can you? No, I'm not old enough to drive. Like, she wanted to stay at the bar anyway. I had all of a sudden, instead of becoming her companion, I was now a burden. Is how I remember it feeling. Rainey, if you're listening, I have no idea if that's how it was. But in my brain, that's how it was for me at the time. But not to make you sound bad, Rainey. So we get back to the hotel. And I'm bumming because I'm like, well, this is supposed, I wanted to cap the night off good. And not getting to, it's a shame. But I end up hearing some noise in the hallway, open up the door, some college guys having a good time up and down the hallway, and start talking to them. What's up, guys? Hey, they've got some beers. Hey, can I have a beer? And they're like, tell you what, we'll come chill in your room, drink a few beers. Okay. They can hang out. I can't even remember. I think we were playing a game or something. All I know is they let me drink some of their beers. We were hanging out, and we had our own room, me and my two brothers. So I'm sure my my I think my one brother Dane, the middle guy, uh, we not too much later would become very good friends and very close. We would be in a band together, metal band together, things like that. So I think he was just kind of like, oh, look at Big Brother. I think my youngest brother was like, what the fuck is going on? I don't even remember. I remember at some point, like, he had to have been like, what? Because he would have been like, 7 or 8 at the time. And he would have been like, what the fuck is going on here? Dad's got these strange, or not dad, big bro, Ryan, he's got these fucking strange dudes in here and they're drinking with us. What's going on? So I had a really good time, and that was a great way to cap off my time in Salida, my whitewater rafting trip. It was a blast, and yeah, very crazy day, very crazy time there in general. But it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. One of many good memories that I still have. Smoke a lot of weed, so some of them. Now, before we go, we of course have the Mad Six, and this week, because of the Game of Thrones discussion and my fascination with it right now, and listening to the audiobooks and whatnot, I have my Mad Six episodes of Game of Thrones. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, 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 Okay, so coming in at number six, I actually have a tie because I couldn't decide, and I had to make them both, honorable mention. This is kind of what the sixth spot is for anyway. So, Reigns of Castamere, which is of course the episode of the Red Wedding. I have to mention that because even though it crushed me, that's kind of why it's so important. It crushed everybody, right? Or most people. And then of course the Lion and the Rose, which is also referred to as the Purple Wedding, and the death of Joffrey, which I have to bring up just because is great. Just to see the end of that prick, just to see the worst of the bad guys get theirs is great. So, because a lot of bad guys in that show, there's some nuance to them. They're not completely bad, but that dude was a fucking cunt to the end, right down to the black heart, the black cunt heart. He is just terrible. So anyway, got to mention that one. Coming in at number 5, Watchers on the Wall. This is, of course, the episode when the wildlings attacked the wall. I love this episode. The giants getting in there. It was just fun episode. I'm a big fan of the episodes with the big battles. You'll see. Because number 4 is Battle of the Bastards. Another episode where the worst of the worst of the worst villains gets his comeuppance in quite a horrific way. Because you've already got the awesome battle. And then after the battle, Jon Snow thumping on Ramsay Bolton. And then, of course, his final words with Sansa Stark before the comeuppance prior to spoke of. And so, great episode. 3, Blackwater. I fucking love this. This for many seasons was one of my top. Well, it still is, obviously, because it's here. It's here, but it's amazing. Just everything about that. And it's so torn because in a way, you're rooting for the Lannister side, for the king essentially, because of Tyrion and Bronn a little bit. But other than that, you don't want Sansa to die. But otherwise, fuck the rest of fuck the king, as the Hound says. But on the other side, Stannis, he's also done some bad shit himself. And the death of Renly is just that whole thing, that whole episode, it's in part great because you almost don't know who to root for. The other one is the best option, but find yourself rooting for the characters, for Tyrion, for Davos Seaworthy. But anyway, great episode. Number 2. This was at number 1, but I decided to put something else number 1. But Hard Home. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in that episode. Good things that happen throughout that episode, but everything at the end, when the White Walkers show up, from the mist, the closing of the one gate, and how people are like, let us in, and then silence. And the dude looks through, and all of a sudden, the Thin, one of the Thin, the leader Thin, is looking through the eye hole, and all of a sudden, zombie runs up. And then you see the White Walker leaders sitting on the horses. You see those. And the whites. Is that what? No. But you see them, and then you see Jon Snow fight and kill one. You see all sorts of crazy, and then at the end, because that's such a pivotal part. They're trying to get all the wildlings to come with him. Get out of here, come on. But at the end, you could see how many they lost because the head, White Walker, just raises the dead. And you see all these fucking dead people, their eyes just turn blue and they start to stand up, and you're like, oh, fuck. It's really then you get the full grasp of what they're really up against. Such a fucking great episode. And then number one might be controversial because not everybody would agree that this should be even tops on the list, because a lot of people had an issue with this episode, but I love it. And that is The Long Night. Yes, I will agree with one thing. The strategy of sending out the Dothraki at the beginning, by themselves with the fires, that was clearly just to do something cool, a cool visual. Because, strategy-wise, it made no fucking sense. It was stupid. So stupid. But after that, I loved how everything went. I loved it that Arya was the one to take out the king, the Night King. And, I thought it was an awesome, very long, very well done episode, aside from that part with the Dothraki. I get it. But other than that, I fucking love that episode. I'm going to go watch it when I get done potting. So fuck off, right? So yes, that would be number one, The Long Night. Right. Well, Madcaps, that's what I've got for you. We've gotten through the show sheet. We've made it tonight. We've made it through, and it's been a good pod. So I thank you for joining me, and we're gonna get the hell out of here. So. I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you so much for joining. Yes. Make sure to stay safe, stay vigilant, stay mad. And don't forget, until next time.